Have these visions in my mind of a gift that's still inside. Can't believe my eyes. The moment has arrived. I like the way I am. Though I've got a long way to go, I like the road that I'm on. Every day I'm learning, every day I'm learning more. I like the way I made. Not another one quite like me, no. After all is said and done, I'm happy with me. Happy with me. I like the way I am. Though I've got a long way to go, I like the road that I'm on. And every day I'm learning more.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight with us again for another Monday night. Sanctity of Sisterhood. I am my sister's keeper. Those of you that were on with us last week, send up those likes and hearts. Wasn't last week amazing? Good evening, Evangelist, and good evening. Last week was amazing. Hey, Elder Cassie. Yes, you made it. Woohoo! Good evening, Deaconess Belinda. Last night was simply amazing, and we are in for another impactful evening. Please don't forget to share this video. Please take a moment and share it out. Tonight I have a newly found sister. Like, I did another live with her, and she is amazing. Good evening, Keisha. Her name, she is a life healing coach. She has a degree in this. So would you help me tonight welcome healing coach Yasmin Ojwang?
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, this is going to be a good night. We're going to have some real truthful conversation, and we're going to be 100% real with you guys. And we are excited to engage in this conversation about sisterhood and about healing.
Absolutely. So, just a few tidbits. I know that she's a healing coach. You have your clinical degree in social work, correct? And
Yes.
you're working toward your doctorate. Earned
Yes.
doctorate, guys. She's legit. So,
You're funny.
I'm it. Listen, come on. We got to be honest in ourselves that all of us are not equipped to clinically, give out advice to certain things that, people may be going through in church, and that they just need real answers. And so
Yeah.
tonight's discussion is about us as women becoming a safe place for people to be able to talk to us, to be able, hi, my sister, Pastor Shamel Freeland. It's my sis, always supporting me. So we want to talk tonight about being being a safe place, because some of us probably, good evening, Latanya, some of us could identify and say that, growing up or in ministry, we didn't always have that person that we felt like we could talk to, right? Or that we felt
Absolutely.
like we could share with.
Mhm.
Because when you share certain things with people and then you turn around and hear it, it makes it difficult for us to be able to trust. So I want to open it up with you. Just let's talk about being a safe place. What should that look like in the lives of us as women?
Awesome. So, honestly, when we were talking about this before, and you told me what you wanted to talk about tonight, I went back to when I was an undergraduate, and I remember I had a professor who's also like the head of like spiritual growth or something like that, and he said to us in the classroom, "If you want a safe place, you need to be a safe place." And I graduated a long time ago, but that thing stuck with me for a very long time, because a lot of the times we expect to find what we are not, right? We want, we want people to be open with us. We want people to be honest with us. We want people to make us feel safe. That's just who we are as human beings. We thrive off of feeling safe. We thrive off of knowing that we have a safe place that we can go to and we can be ourselves. I think the average person, the average woman, since we're talking to women, wants to know that they can be 100% themselves without judgment, naked in a sense, without having any, you know, backlash about having a moment, or, you know, being in a stage of life that they're in at the moment. And so I took that with me everywhere I went in my life. If I want to find safe places, I have to be open to be a safe place, right? I have to be that person that knows how to be integral. Like, I can't tell you, sis, come talk to me, and after you talk to me, the whole church knows your business, or, you know, I went and told another friend your business. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm so big on confidentiality. And so what's so funny is a lot of people have friends, right? We have mutual friends per se. So if I come to you and be like, Lady Charmain, I want to talk to you, but sis, like, I just wanted to be between us, and then you go and you tell somebody else. Now, you're going to tell somebody else may be very innocent. Like, the truth of the matter is, we all need a safe place, right? So you might have went to your safe place. However, your safe place may not be so safe. Meaning, the person you, and this is the danger of, you know how they used to play the telephone game? This is the danger of people sharing things with people who are not safe. So whereas you thought that your ride or die, your safe place was a safe place, that person may not know how to hold certain information. And you have to know how to handle people's nakedness in order for people to handle your nakedness. You get what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
it's so important. It's so important. I can't stress this enough. Confidentiality is like a major thing. I mean, I talk about it all the time because it's the work that I do, and I would probably lose my job if, you know, if I didn't understand the magnitude and the importance of confidentiality. And while I get that, you know, what you shared with me may be too heavy, that's why we have God. You get what I'm saying? You know, we have the spirit of intercession, the gift of intercession. Whereas if you come to me as my sister and you share something with me and I feel like, whoa, sis, that's heavy, but I'm gonna take it to God. You get what I'm saying? Because from my mouth to God's ear. You get what I'm saying? So if it goes to God, it can't go to anybody else. I mean, unless the spirit of God is like revealing. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So we have to be very, very mindful about being integral when it comes to being safe spaces and availing ourselves to be a safe space for people, because we want the same from other people. So you need to give what you want to receive. You can't expect to go to someone and say, I want to feel safe here, or I feel safe here, but can I be my total 100% self? Can I be vulnerable? And that's what safe spaces do. They produce vulnerability. I should be able to come and be vulnerable about where I am, and you hold me accountable. That's another thing about safe spaces. Safe spaces hold you accountable. Yes, it's a safe space, but it's going to hold you accountable to who God called you to be. So if I feel like, as my sister, it's my responsibility. I think me and my mom was just talking about this the other day about accountability, right? Because that's such a big part and a big component to us having a safe space. And when it's being in a safe space is almost like an agreement. When you have people around you who you say, like, this is my tribe, this is who I know I can be 100% vulnerable. These are the people I can be vulnerable with. These are the people who I can, like, spill the beans to. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
know that I can get godly advice. I know that I can get sound counsel from, but I also know they will hold me accountable. There's an agreement that happens with accountability. If I come, I'm using you as an example because I can't really see people on here. But if
No,
I
it's
come to
okay.
you, Lady Charmain, and I say, yo, Lady Charmain, oh God, my hood part of me just almost came out. I say, yo, let me get my life together.
No, be your 100% self. It's all right.
If I came to you, like Lady Charmain, you know, we have a good relationship. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you about, I'm going to just use relationships in general, right? I want to tell you about this new love interest. And I'm married. This is just an example. I want to tell you about this new love interest. But you know, not only as a woman of God, but as someone who's supposed to know me, that's the wrong path to go down. It is your responsibility, because we had a verbal agreement that you're going to keep me accountable, and I'm going to receive you in those moments when you're holding me to a standard, right? I can't get mad because I went into an agreement with you as deeming you as my safe space, deeming you as my sister. It is now my responsibility to receive from you. And that's the problem. We don't always want to receive when we gave people permission to hold us accountable in
Wow,
that
that's
safe
good.
space. I gave you permission to hold me accountable. I gave you permission to tell me, pull my coattail when I'm not on the right path, right? But sometimes we can't receive it because it's too honest, and we're not ready to be honest with ourselves. You get what I'm saying? So you have to come into this whole conversation, this whole idea of safe spaces with an open mind, and also knowing what you agreed to. Because if you agreed to this sisterhood, it goes both ways. If I agree, like, we have prayer partners, or we have people that say, I know when I want to go on a fast, sometimes I need accountability, because I'm like, I might pick up that sandwich, or, so I might tell some of my closest friends, like, yo, I'm going on a fast. Y'all want to do it with me or not? And me reaching out to them is like, I really want y'all to hold me accountable, because I feel God pulling me to this fast, and I'm pulling y'all in, because we don't know how he gonna bless us at the end of this week or the end of this whatever, right? But I need to know that moment I want to pick up a slice of cake, that I could text you like, yo, I'm hungry, but let's just pray. You get what I'm saying? And so
absolutely.
we have to be very, very, very honest with ourselves when we say we're choosing into a safe space, and we're choosing to be a safe space, because there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with that.
I totally agree with you. I was thinking back to something you said about you, because of your job, that if you say certain things, right, you could get fired, you could lose your job. I feel like what happens with us as the people of God, we don't believe, or I won't say we don't believe, but we don't understand the magnitude of the call that God has placed on us, and the responsibility that God places on us when we say that we're in a sisterhood relationship with people. If we understood that, then we would understand to know, oh, I could lose my potential sister, somebody that I said I love, somebody that I said, that I have their back and that has mine, and I know through it all they held me down. I feel like we don't understand the magnitude of loss amongst each other when we breach the contract of not being safe spaces for each other, or not being able to be honest to each other. We do each other a disservice when we can't be honest. And so I feel like what you said was very good. We have to understand, and if you're on here, a lot of you are on here listening, please share this video. If you just logged on, please share this show tonight. Post your questions. If you have something to say, we want to answer questions. We want to just have a dialogue. We're not talking at you, we're talking with you. This is a group talk, girl chat. But I love that what you said, because you understand, it is your job to hold things. But I believe it is through that you also understand the role of integrity, accountability, and morals. Us in the church, us women in the church, we go to church, we'll dance, we'll shout, but then we'll tear each other down. We don't know how to keep our mouths closed. We don't know how to obtain information, hold it, and take it to God in prayer, like you said. And I feel like at this hour, we got to learn how to truly be safe places. Like my sister, First Lady Dion Daniel said a couple of weeks ago, we on my show, we got to learn how to be a well. Those type of women that can hold. And although the burden may be heavy, you know what? Take it to God, because God will always, he got you. He got us.
Absolutely.
And so,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, and it's something, the thought just came to me, because we're talking about sisterhood, and sisterhood is so important to me. And so when you choose into this relationship, right? When you choose into these type of relationships, when you choose into this safety net, because sisterhood relationships are supposed to be safe in general. We if you feel unsafe, you should probably exit left. But in general, relationships are meant to be safe spaces, right? And the truth of the matter is, you have to be okay with a level of confrontation when you choose into sisterhood, because again, when that accountability comes up, and confrontation doesn't always have to be bad. I think we hear the word confrontation and we think like, it's drama, it's this. Sometimes in a sisterhood, things need to be confronted, meaning we need to have 100% real conversations that might be uncomfortable, but it's the motive of that conversation. It's the place where that conversation stems from is what's important. Now, if you have somebody come to you, 100% sure that their motive is off, and what they're saying to you is coming from a place of just like envy or just hate or malice, you can discern that. That's why discernment is so important when it comes to relationships. You can discern what is safe and what is not safe. You need Holy Spirit. You get what I'm saying? Like, I used to want so much, and I tell everybody this in the work that I do. When I was growing up and I was a teenager and going up into my young adulthood, I wanted so much to be a part of the in, and the in crowd, and I wanted so much to be accepted because I had my own issues. You get what I'm saying? I had my own private issues where I didn't feel loved or I didn't feel welcomed into certain circles. So I fought so hard to be a part of certain things when it was just like, God was like, that's not what I have for you. I have a real sisterhood for you. I have a real tribe for you, per se, because we've been using the word tribe, but I have real people that is going to help you confront you and help you confront certain things that needs to be uprooted. This is not something surface. Sisterhood relationships is not meant to be surface. They're meant to pierce the heart in a good way. You get what I'm saying? It's meant to uproot and help you grow. If you are in relationships and we're talking about friendships, if you are in friendships or sisterhoods where you feel like you're not growing, then you need to reevaluate. It's either something wrong with you or something wrong with the circle you chose into. Because a lot of us walk around with these toxic traits, and it causes us to choose into what makes us comfortable rather than what's going to make us grow. And we need to be very careful of that, because we can get so stuck in being comfortable, and being comfortable sometimes will cause you to be so stuck in some things and get you stuck in being mistreated, get you stuck in thinking where you are, mentally, emotionally, spiritually is the right place to be. That's not a safe space. These are people watching you fail. So you really need the spirit of discernment when you're choosing into this quote unquote safe space. So you can actually know that the Holy Spirit is telling you, this is where I'm planning you. This is not just about like, oh, that's my sister, that's my ride or die. No, this is covenant. This is covenant relationships. And when you're in the right covenant, you have to be very careful. I take friendship serious. Like, you have to be very careful on what you choose into.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Latanya says, true, but confronting does not have to be fleshy. Women in church have to learn healthy confrontation. And I totally agree with that. We have to learn how to, sometimes I used to have a friend, right? And her favorite words was, I keep it real. And if they don't like what I have to say, then so what? Those type of things, like, I at a certain point, we should not be saying anymore. We have to mature out of just wanting to tell people off, or just wanting to tell our sister, right, how it is. Because the Bible tells us, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. You could be my sister, right? But if I come to you because I know that you're doing something that is beneath what God says that you are, and what you should be doing, and if I come to you, although I could be very well right, if I come to you nasty, like, oh, Yasmin, because that's not right. You may not receive me because of how I came, and I could be right. My information, what I'm saying to you, could be right, but because we feel like we got to just be nasty, or we got to get down and dirty, no. Sometimes
your delivery is so important.
Yeah, and we got to be able to make it plain. I think Denise said we got to be able to make it plain. We got to be able to go to people and talk to them, because guess what? You can't become a safe space unless you know how to talk to people.
Hello. And then, so it's so funny, because when you know people, you know where they're coming from, per se, right? If you came to me and you said, yes, I want to talk to you about something, I'm not going to jump to the defense, because I know, because if I chose into this sisterhood and I chose into you being my friend, my sister, I understand where you're coming from. I might not like what you're saying, because it's being honest about what I'm doing, where I am, But the truth of the matter is, you're helping me in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not letting me. Like I remember in college, we used to always say, you don't got no friends if they let you walk out the house looking crazy, or if they let you get what I'm saying?
Right,
But the
right.
truth of the matter is, you should be evaluating your friends based off, yes, healing is your responsibility. Yes, you need to have some self-awareness and be accountable to yourself as well. But the truth of the matter is, what you do a lot of times speaks of who you have around you. And if you just running around here like a wild behind person, and you don't have anybody confronting you and having real honest conversations that has the foundation of love on it, and being led of the whole, I always say being led of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit tell you how to talk to people.
Right.
The Holy
But the
Spirit will
thing
tell you how,
is,
exactly.
people think, and we may get in trouble because people use that. People say, "Oh, I got the Holy Ghost. I got him living down on the inside of me." This, if you don't exhibit the attributes of God, you leave yourself open for people to question
Your
what
integrity in the
Holy Ghost
spirit.
you
Yeah.
have. Right.
Yeah.
Because if I'm speaking to you in a way that I know is wrong, and you're supposed to be my sister, like you said, we're in covenant. We have decided that over time we are connected, right? Like, so then we should be able to, talk to each other, and we should be able to know that if you come to me and say, "Oh, Charmaine, X, Y, and Z, why'd you do that?" Whatever it is, hey, Pastor Shalonda, I should be able to receive you because I understand the spirit and what you're coming from, right? Because
Yes.
we know each other. A lot of
Mhm.
times we are calling people sis and sister that we don't even know. We have
Listen.
no clue of who they are.
Listen.
We've not seen them interact with their own families. We don't see them
Yes.
interact with their own sisters. And then you hear people say, "Well, I don't like my sister. Oh, she did X, Y, and Z." Sometimes I feel like people use excuses on why they don't want to get it right with their family. People,
True.
sometimes, yes, you have issues with your family and you can't get it right. All right. But a lot of times issues within our sisters, our biological sisters, can
Mhm.
be fixed. We'll
Yeah.
fix things faster with people who are not blood than people who are related to us, and then just say, "Oh, blood is thicker than because water," or people that I don't know understand me better, or, "Oh, I expect higher standards from my biological than the people in the world." It's just like, come on. The
It's true.
same grace you want from everybody, whether it's biological or not, is the same grace you should extend and want to
The
give.
same grace, okay? Listen, the same grace. And so I can speak to this because I feel like I have blood family and I have family
Mhm.
that's not blood. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And it took me time to choose. I love my blood family. I love them. I don't care how hood we might get, or you get what I'm saying. Those
Right.
my
Yeah.
people. That's my family. And for a long time, because I think and I'm just being honest, a lot of my college days, I spent a lot of time trying to escape because I needed to heal in a lot of places. But
Hmm.
as I grew and as I matured and, as I healed and as I came to my senses, I realized that family gonna be family. And until you accept the family that God gave you, honestly, all other relationships, because you need to heal. This is the thing. This is the thing.
Come on, talk to us.
This is the thing. We choose into relationships a lot of times based off of what we did not have or what we're
Hmm.
lacking. But the truth of the matter is, it is necessary to take time to heal from your blood, your blood relationships and blood
Hmm.
bonds with your family, right? You may not never be, the perfect family. No family is perfect, but
Right.
I think we grow up and we maneuver through life with this idea of what a perfect family is, and we try to live by that when no family is perfect. And then we build these relationships outside of our blood. And I'm all for it. You get what I'm saying? But you
Right.
have to deal with home first.
Exactly. So wait, let me read this first. That's good. Latanya says, "What you do in your house, you will eventually bring into his house." Period. Most
Mm.
women don't have church hurt. They have home hurt and
Ah,
carry it to
Tanya, you
the
preaching.
church.
You
Come on.
preaching.
You
This
are
is my
absolutely
exact
right.
point.
How many of us on tonight can be honest to say that you have brung things from your family issues into the church and have left the church calling it church hurt when it really wasn't that? You just needed an excuse and an escape to not be honest with what the situation really was.
I love that. You got home hurt, not church hurt. And that's the thing. That's what I was trying to get to. You need to, before you start choosing in, and nobody's not saying don't have friends. Yeah, have friends. But while you building on these friendships and you giving all your energy to these third-party people, you need to be giving your energy to the restoration of your family. You need to be giving your energy to dealing with that stuff. Because guess what? None of your relationships are going to work until you start doing that inner work from the hurt and the pain and whatever seeds that was sold or whatever seeds you sold into your family that reaped negative repercussions. Until you deal with that, the rest of your relationships is going to be very dysfunctional. And we're not out here trying to have dysfunctional relationships.
Right.
Not this
time. Right.
Not in this time. We don't have that type of energy, that type of time. This is about covenant relationships, but you need to deal with your house first. And that doesn't necessarily mean like your actual address. We talking about your house, your family. You need to work on those relationships. And granted, they might not ever be 100% what you expect, because this is all about expectation too, sis. Like, expectation will get you in trouble. You leaving, you gonna build friendships and sisterhoods expecting it to be what you did not have, and then the moment some type of conflict comes up in that relationship, it's like now you're taking the anger and from the pain of your family and you're putting it on that person when it's not their responsibility. First of all, you never even voice your expectations to this person. Second of all, it's not their responsibility to heal you from what you keep running away from.
Right. We've got to learn how to face things. The same way we want people, to face us when they hurt us is the same way we need to be running to look in the mirror so that we can face ourselves to be healed. It is not the responsibility of our family members. It is not the responsibility of other people who may have hurt us. Yes, they hurt us. Yes, what they did, it hurt. You know, that we say things like, I would never. I'm guilty. I've said that I would never do that to that person, or I will never speak to that person again. But we have to understand that although things happen, how are we going to get past it? How are we going to restore? Like I said before, we're quick to restore relationships with outside sisterhoods than we will with our families, than we will with our sisters that we are related to, that God gave us. We're willing to throw away our family and run to people who are not our family. And yeah, they're good to us. We have like you said, you love friendships. We have those people that we hold near and dear to our heart. But we've got to understand that in order for us, like you said, we've got to heal, and we've got to understand that, listen, until we face and heal and heal our own houses, we're not even going to be good to these people that we call sisters.
Yes. Or friend. Because a lot of our relationships, honestly, this is the thing, when you're going through the world broken, right? And you're operating from the lens of brokenness, basically, and the lens of pain, the lens of hurt. And the truth is that a lot of people don't know how to be a friend because they never really had a friend. A lot of people don't know how to. I love the name of this ministry, the Sanctity of Sisterhood. A lot of people don't understand the sanctity of sisterhood because that's dealing with relationships, and your foundational relationships in your family was all jacked up, and because that never worked out, that never was sorted out, you're going through life building on broken foundations, and you got to go back to the root. It's all about getting back to the root and dealing with whatever. I'm telling you, when you begin to uproot some things. Let me share this with y'all. I remember one time, like a while ago, and since we're talking about relationships.
Right, Sister Jenny, lenses of brokenness. Go ahead, sis, I'm listening.
I had a big issue with my biological father, right? And I think the world knows this because I always talk about it because it's something dear to me. And I couldn't even get close to God the way I wanted to see him as father, because I couldn't see my biological father as father. And every time I thought about father or the image of a father, I felt broken. I kept thinking about, all of the brokenness I had experienced because of this relationships or the lack thereof, right? And I remember when I first got to my church, the idea of a spiritual father. I'm like, what is that? With my pastor, I couldn't receive him the way I wanted, or maybe, deep down in my heart, I probably should have received him, because it was like, okay, I understand you as my pastor, but a spiritual father, nah, I'm not with that, because I was
Yeah,
associating,
yeah.
and the point I'm trying to make is I was associating my family or my father-daughter relationship with my biological father against my relationship with God, my relationship with my pastor. I couldn't receive him as a spiritual father. I couldn't receive him as a leader in totality, because I was so broken, and I was operating out of the lens of my brokenness from my father-daughter relationship with my biological father. And until I was healed from that, I couldn't receive. But when I got healed, it was so much easier to receive and understand God as father, understand my pastor as not only my pastor, but seeing him as a spiritual father and receiving him from him on another magnitude. And so that's why it's so important that we heal our mother-daughter relationships, we heal our sister relationships, or whatever relationships you have with your blood family, or even coming to a place. And I keep saying that it may not be 100%, because you may be in a place where you're like, okay, I'm ready to forgive, I'm ready to talk through, and that person may not want to talk. You have to be okay with not getting an apology.
Yes.
You have to be okay with not, and this means without bitterness, because I'm going to assume that you've dealt with this with God, and you dealt with this in what you've called your safe place, whether it was in counseling or amongst like safe people, that you were able to talk these things through, because some stuff needs to be talked out. Yes, God is 100% a deliverer. I know he's a deliverer. He delivered me from some stuff, but there's some stuff that needs talk therapy that's coupled with deliverance. You get what I'm
Yes.
saying? So some stuff and some seeds that are deeply rooted in us, we need to talk that out to uproot those things. So now that when we go back to our family and we say, okay, I'm ready to heal, I'm ready to, restore, even if our idea or the picture of restoration doesn't look the same, we will learn to appreciate what we get. You get what I'm saying? Because with
Yeah.
my relationship with my biological father, I had this image of a perfect father-to relationship based off of what I saw other people have with their dads. But the truth of the matter is, I had to learn to accept what he had the capacity to give me. And the truth is, even in our family relationships, we're expecting people to give us something from a place that they don't have a capacity to handle. They may not be able to give you on the level of your capacity. So you have to receive what they can give and work with that.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree. You said some really good things. And one of the things that I'm learning that we have a hard time dealing with is the capacity of people.
Yes.
Like you said, we expect, especially in church,
Mhm.
I often we expect that the people of God know better, right? We expect that if we're all going to church, we're all serving the same God, we all know this same word, we're all believing these same things, that everybody should be
Yes.
doing the same thing, right? But
Absolutely.
even in that, there is a level of maturity.
Mm.
And I was having a conversation with one of my close sister friends, and I was explaining to her that, um, sometimes you gotta love people where they are
Yes.
until they get to where God has called them to be. And
Hmm.
sometimes that looks and feels painful for us.
Yes. Yes.
We
Yes.
can't be we because we expect these things, we are so quick to want to throw people away, like you said, because
Yes.
they're not at the capacity that we feel like they should be at. And so if my friend, I feel like, oh, you should have a job by now, you should be able to take care of X, Y, and Z. Maybe they can't right now. So if I have a little bit extra, I should be mature enough to be able to help them
Yes.
until they're able to get on their feet. Now, I'm not saying being a hindrance to people. And then sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we got to know that, and my lion says we got to know how to hear God and not be a stumbling block for
Yeah.
people.
Or enabling people.
Right. Enabling people. But we got to understand that we can't just throw people away because out their capacity of being at the place where we expect them to be hasn't gotten there yet. And so then we're like, you know what? I don't want to be their friend no more. You
But you
know
don't want
what?
nobody to throw
I don't
you
want to be
away.
mad. Right. You know what? I don't want to be married no more. This is it. I can't take it. I can't do it. We say all of these things because we're hurt, we're broken, and yeah, we have emotions and we feel like, well, I deserve better. I
Mhm.
deserve this. I deserve that. But just perhaps that the person that
I.
we're in the relationship, right? The
Yeah.
perhaps the person that we're in the relationship, whether married, single, or friendship, right? They're just not at the level of maturity that we're at yet. So how about
Uh-huh.
we love people? We extend grace. My husband always says, I always pray that I always try to extend the grace to people that I never hope I need to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And when we keep that before us, we will understand that, listen, nobody, like you said, nobody not perfect. There's no
Right.
perfect family.
And I'm sorry, I just saw I think Jenny Sims. I think she just
Uh-huh.
said something about
Yes.
biological family and God. I couldn't get the whole thing because it went
I'm going to
very
read
quickly.
it. I'm going to
Okay.
read it. She said, biological doesn't really hold any weight because God will place people in your life to love you with no limits, no matter what you say or do.
Right. So I wanted to address that because I want to be very clear on what I'm saying about taking care of your house. Um like I said, I'm 100%. I have people that's not my blood that's like that's my family, and you can't tell me different. And so when I say take care of your house, there's going to be some relationships that you can actually actively work on. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you can actively restore, that God will restore if both parties are like, we want to work on this. We are on the
Right.
same page. But then there's other situations where, like I said, you have to be okay with that biological family member not being in the same headspace as you. You know, being in a place where now, when I'm talking about restoration, now this is a personal experience of you
Mm-hmm.
being restored from that place of brokenness, you being restored from that place of hurt, and releasing that thing that keeps causing you to go in this cycle of choosing into unsafe relationships. So you have to get you. It calls for maturity. You have to know what relationships are gonna ideally work when we talk about restoration, and actively working with that person and say, let's start from here now. Let's leave all of that stuff. Like, while that stuff did hurt me, what you said hurt me. I probably did some stuff to hurt you, but let's work on forgiveness and let's work on getting moving past that. And again, there's going to be other relationships where you kind of got to wash your hands, not in a sense of bitterness, but washing your hands saying, I release this relationship to God. Like, I tried, and I'm
Yeah.
in a place where I'm actually not bitter with this person. I love you, but this relationship is what it is. It's no hate. It's no, and I wanted to hone in on that because, again, everybody's situation is going to be different. You may not ever have that relationship like with your biological sister that is integral and that's safe, but you still gotta love that person. You get what I'm saying? You still have
Yeah,
to have some
absolutely.
sense of love. Love is so important. Like, because your sister, let me just say sister, for example. I don't have any sisters, but your sister, for example, you guys might have had conflict for your whole life and it just seems to not work. And here you are, a person in church, and your sister is not in church. And what you look like turning up on your sister and telling your sister like, oh, blah, beep, 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 because we got some colorful language sometimes. And
Absolutely.
we taking them through the fire, and we're supposed to be the ones who is operating in the love of God. And the only thing that's going to change that relationship is your consistency in
Hmm.
operating in God's love. No matter how much you feel this relationship has pained you, be honest about your pain. I'm not telling you to
Hmm.
hide it. Be
Right.
honest about it. But your honesty should take you and provoke you into a place of healing. Like, God, I want to heal from this. I don't want to be bitter. Like, that relationship may not be what I want it to be, but I'm going to accept it for where it is, and I'm going to continue to extend love. So that when
Mm-hmm.
I build relationships outside of this, I'm not operating again out of the lens of brokenness, out of the lens of pain. So it's very true that there may be some relationships that are not biological that are phenomenal and are
Right.
divine relationships, divine covenants. Yes, indeed, I have those relationships. But what I'm saying is, again, I want to just be clear that there has to be some sense of effort when working with your own family, because if you don't put any effort, and even effort as far as acknowledging that there's an issue and that you need to
Right.
work on that issue, even if it's just you and God, because you'll forever operate out of that place of hurt in other relationships.
I totally agree with you. And I just want to piggyback off of that, because although you're, with the idea of, I think you said biological doesn't really hold any weight. Um, maybe it's just because how I was raised. Um, my grandparents always taught us that your biological family is your family, your biological family, and the same way you seek to have amazing friendships and relationships is the same way you should seek to have that with your family. And sometimes that just takes another level of forgiving and understanding that nobody is perfect, right?
Yeah,
And that you should always run to, is like your biological family going to be perfect? No, they might not always measure up to what you want it to be, but that is your family. Those are the people that God gave you. So yes, God gives us friends and we call them our sisters, but God gave us biological. And so this, we need to seek after and run after restoration with our biological family the same way we would with
yeah,
someone that we felt God gave us,
yeah,
because we'll accept hurt from anybody else in the street that we deem our sister, our friend. But when it comes to our biological families, then we don't want to receive them. We want to throw them away because we feel like, oh, they're toxic, oh, they're this, they're that. But listen, we forgive who we want. And we got to get past just pointing fingers and understand the same way that people have hurt you, you've hurt people, we've hurt people, and we want to get out of the mindset of hurt people. No, how do we heal? How do we stop being hurt? How are we going to do this? We had a couple of questions that I want to go back to. Denise Crossland said, what do you do when there's no restoration?
right. So what I was saying, that's why I went back to that statement that Jenny was talking about, because sometimes, and then I would even challenge you and say, what do you consider as restoration? Because
Mm,
again, sometimes it's going to be a two-way street where you're both working, and we're talking about you and another person working on the rest of it. Can't get my words out. The restoration of your relationship. Both of you have to come to some type of agreement that, okay, I hurt you, you hurt me. Whatever happened. We can't carve a spoiled milk. Blah blah blah. Right? And you decide that from this point on, we're going to actively work on something. It may not be what we used to be, or
mm-hmm.
what we, again, that perfect picture of a relationship, but it's something. You get what I'm saying? we've
Right.
we've decided that we're going to work towards a more positive and love, a relationship that has a foundation of love, where we're not backbiting, we're not making each other feel unsafe, or we're not offending each other. But then there's going to be moments where we might feel that, okay, this is a dead end. I keep coming and I keep trying to restore. I keep trying to, some of us get overly apologetic even when it's nothing that had to
Mm-hmm.
do with us or it
Right.
wasn't our fault. But, you find that those people are a lot more disappointed because they keep putting themselves out there. Whereas when you feel like there's no restoration and you feel like there's a dead end, that's when you have to release that thing to God and say, you know what? You got to come to God, at least trying something, right? Have tried something.
Mm-hmm.
To say, God, I've tried. I've contacted this person. However you want to approach that, the beginning to restore that relationship. Your restoration is going to come in your ability to release that thing to God. Because at that point, you can't do anything about it. That person seemed to can't do anything about it. You got to give that thing to God. At the end of the day, if you can't actively come to an agreement with that person that you guys want to actively work on a better relationship or begin to restore, it has to be released to God. And that's when restoration will begin personally. Sometimes restoration has to happen within us.
Right. And may I add this, that a lot of times we keep going through the motions is because we can identify what people have done to us, but sometimes we don't identify what we've done to people. So
Say
in
this.
turn, we keep going through cycle after cycle after cycle, but not understanding that we truly didn't give it to God. Because when we truly turn it to God, there will be no residue
Yes.
of what the hurt that actually happened to us. The reason why we keep feeling the hurt, and the reason why we can't get past what people have done, family or friend, the reason why we can't get past it is because we haven't given it to God. Out of our mouths we say we turned it over to God, but in
And we
our
didn't.
hearts we're still harboring it.
Yes.
In our hearts we're still
Yes.
mad. In our
Yes.
hearts, we're out of our mouths we're still sharing it with other people. But at the same token, we're not honest. We got to learn how to be honest. And it's
Yes.
not about with people, honest with God.
Yes.
Did I
About where
turn it
you
over to
are.
God? And when I turned it over to God, did I pick it back up? Because restoration, like you said, didn't look like what I wanted it to look like. So then in turn, I got upset. I got angry
Yep.
because the person didn't receive me the way I felt like they should. So
Yes.
now I'm going through the cycle all over again. It's all, no. Leave it in the hands of God and let it go, and stop holding people to a standard that you yourself is not ready to be at, that you yourself are not at. A lot
Yeah.
of us are holding people to standards. We won't let go. We won't forgive people because guess what? We don't forgive ourselves. We haven't truly turned it over to God, and we haven't been honest about the fact that we're not perfect. Angela Wright says sometimes you forgive and forgive, but then sometimes you have to let people be who they are. Don't expect more or less than what they show you.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And so you ever hear that statement, when they show you who they are, believe them? Like, I think a lot of times we try to be missionaries, and we trying to save people from being who they are when all you got to do is show up in love. At the end of the day, like you said, with love have I drawn them. If you can't be a miracle worker, leave that up to God. Like, all you can do is be integral, show up how you show
Mhm.
up. And so for me, I kind of hate the cancel culture sometimes, because it's like, oh, that's canceled, that's canceled, that's canceled. Oh, I'm dropping that person, I'm dropping that person. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. I was thinking about how God recklessly pursues us, right? No matter what we do, no matter where we are in life, no matter how messed up and jacked up we are, we're so quick to cancel people. But God, no matter what, still pursues us. And imagine if we were like that with people in our relationships. I'm not telling you, don't misconstrue my words. I'm not telling you to lay out like a mat and let people walk over you. I'm not telling you to, be vulnerable in places where pain is going to be the repercussion of your vulnerability. I'm not saying that.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, we have to be very careful on just cutting people off like that, because one, we don't know the position of their minds. We don't know what they're going through. Sometimes you got to be the bigger person, put in your big girl drawers, and be the mature one, and kind of figure out, and this could be the counselor in me, but figure out where people are. Maybe they're not in the headspace that you think they are in. Maybe
Mhm.
they're dealing with their own stuff, which is causing them to behave and act the way that they're acting. But you never took a chance to say, hey, what's going on? You offended. You walking around with a chip on your shoulder instead of having a
Absolutely.
conversation as a sister. You get what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
can't just automatically be like, oh, well, I'm over and I'm done with them, forget them. Not even given a chance of asking, how are you doing? Like, where's your head at? Assessing like what's going on with them, because the truth of the matter is, sometimes people are going through some real stuff, Let's just be honest. Like, people are going through
Mm-hmm.
some real stuff, and a lot of times people don't know how to articulate what they're going through, so it comes out, and it manifests in different behaviors. And though those behaviors may be painful, I think like simple conversations sometimes can reveal the true motive and heart of a person, if we can just take that time and listen, and try to assess where they are before we so quickly wipe our hands.
Yeah, you're speaking all facts, sis. Like, I think Jenny said, let me scroll up. She said, but your heart is afraid to trust again. And I say to that, think about all of the times that we have done things against the word of God, against God's principles, his statutes, and what he expects of us, right? Think about all of those times. Yet he still forgives. Yet he still trusts you. How will I know he still trusts us? Because he gives us chance after chance. Because no matter what we've done, we still suffer no lack. And even if we suffer some lack, we're not homeless, we're not outdoors, and we feel like because what we have gone through is a direct result of things that we have done. Sometimes yes, but then sometimes it's just the hand of God taking
Mm,
us through certain situations
yes, ma'am.
just to prove to us that he is God.
Mm-hmm.
And the same way he's proven to us that he is God could be the very same way that we've got to understand that through hurt, through brokenness, through disappointment, through sadness, through misappropriation, God still forgives us. He still, like you said, recklessly chases after us, runs after us,
Recklessly. Mm-hmm.
recklessly, never throws us away. Why is it that we will be so quick to do that to our sisters in Christ, out of Christ? Because their level of maturity and accountability and morals are not where we feel like they should be.
And who are you at the end of the day? Like, I mean, and not to sound insensitive, because yes, relationships should be built on respect and, like we keep saying, integrity. But I think you and your expectations, and when I say that, that means all of us. You got to
Right.
check those sometimes. You really do, because you are messing up relationships or throwing away relationships based off of expectations you never spoke of. Or, you here sitting up here holding somebody to a standard and an expectation, and they over there losing their mind, and they don't even know that you
Mm-hmm.
expecting all this stuff for them. You get what I'm saying? Granted, there's some basic, entry level expectations I think every relationship should have.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
I think we wipe our hands too quickly. And I'm just very careful about that. Like, so I even still, like, I feel like when people do stuff to me, and my friends will tell you now, like, oh, you need to not be gullible, or you you need to just, you get what I'm saying? But I always try to think about the situation from like multiple like angles. Like, I try to put myself in their brain. Okay, maybe this was happening, and maybe I try to
Yeah,
walk
I totally
through.
under.
I try to walk through the possibilities of why they may have done something, and that doesn't mean that I'm gullible. It's just like, we're human, things happen, and so I'm not quick to be like, oh, I'm done with you. I just deal with you appropriately. Like, I love you, but I might not come and tell you my business no more. Or
Right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw you to the wolves. I'm not gonna, be shady towards you. I'm just gonna choose selectively what I'm gonna, share with you. And so this is the thing, when you have friendships, there's certain friends that you don't share certain things with. I think we all have those type of friendships. There's
Yeah.
certain friends that when I'm doing this, or if I need like a ride or die and I want to turn up, you my person. And
Right.
then if
You
you
put
have a
people
person,
in their proper
yes,
places.
I categorize everybody. Then you got people who like, this person gonna hold me accountable spiritually, for real, and I need them in my corner, because I know, like, when I'm going off on the deep end, they're gonna will me back in, and that's just the kind of relationship we got, vice versa. So you have to know where to place people. And I think when you learn that, you're less disappointed,
Mm.
because you can't go to Mary if you want to be held accountable spiritually, and you can't go over here to Susan if you want to turn up, because Susan not gonna turn up with you. You get what I'm saying? Or Susan is
Yeah.
not going to, clap for your BS. Basically,
Yeah.
excuse
Yeah.
my French, but
No, you're absolutely right. I think I posted something the other day and I said, we've got to, if you're hanging around people that condone your foolishness, that says more about you than the person.
yeah, because we like
Because
yes men sometimes.
yeah,
We want
we
people to
want
tell us
people.
yes.
Yeah, we want people that's always going to be okay and condone our issue. So if I have a friend and I'm cheating on my husband, then you have friends that'll be like, all right, girl, just let me know what happened. Those are not your friends. Or if you have a friend that is heading down the wrong path, you've got to be okay with saying stop.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that we are no longer surrounded. We say we want real sisters and real friends, but we don't. We totally wash the ideal of being the same real that we want for other people to be to us. We don't know
We're
how to
not.
be to
Yeah.
other people, because
Yes.
then we start saying, "Oh, I've been. This is why I do." So let me see. Evangelist Ann says, I've been hurt, but I learned how to forgive. But I'm asking the Lord to heal me from the inside. That is amazing. Continue to seek God, because in
Mm.
seeking God, He's going to continue. He
Yes.
will do the work. You just got to put it in His hands and don't pick it back up, because He's
Yes.
not doing it as fast as you feel like He should.
Yes,
It's a
indeed. Yes,
process.
indeed.
Jenny says, I have only one person that I can trust with all my secrets and insecurities. And she said, maybe I expect too much. So, Yasmin, talk to us about expecting too much from people.
Child, expectations. Because let me tell y'all, expectations will get you in trouble. And I think, Jenny, you have to be very careful. And again, sometimes we expect what people cannot deliver. That people may not have the capacity to live up to your expectations. And that's just real life. They may not. It's like telling a person, love me this way, and they don't even have the capacity of love that you need. And so we have to be very careful. You have to, I was just working with one of my clients about this yesterday. You have to be very careful on what kind of expectations you set. And you need to evaluate if your expectations are realistic. Like, based on the person, based on the situation, you need to really identify and clarify if this is an expectation that is, reachable. Is this person likely to live up to that
Right.
expectation? Because if they're not, you're going to constantly be hurt. You're going to constantly be disappointed. You're going to constantly be upset, because every time it's going to be, for you, it's going to be like, I expected this. And that
Right,
person's
right.
like, well, technically, I didn't know you expected that. Secondly, it's not really my responsibility. So you have to be very careful with expectation setting, because you don't know the capacity of that person. And it's kind of unfair. And also, have you even been sharing what your expectations is? Because I think people need the opportunity to tell you if they can meet that expectation or not.
No, I totally agree with that, because everybody can't be a safe place. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to be a safe place. Some people, and let me see. Jenny said, because I want to get to that. She said it's okay to say stop, but to share with others, that's wrong. So here's my thing. Um, I understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. People, we should not be sharing with others what people have confided in us about, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, you got to understand that you are sharing information under your own volition, right? So you've
Mhm.
got to understand that just because you shared it, and like you said, Yasmin, that is your expectation that the person is not going to share it. However, they might not be mature enough to keep
Yes.
it under wraps. And on the flip side of it, how about the times that maybe someone has shared something with you that you have shared with someone else? So
Preach.
even though you may feel like, oh, the person hurt me, I share. put yourself in the position of the other person too, because at some point or another we all have done that. We
Yes, we
all
all
have
have done
shared
it
stuff, right, that we
that we
should
shouldn't
not
have
have
shared.
said.
Yeah.
And when we continue, when we take into account that we have been those non-safe spaces, it helps us to understand that we got to extend grace to people, and we can't be so quick to say, point fingers and say, oh this, oh that, oh I can't. No,
And you don't want,
no.
so this is the thing. Um,
Go ahead.
this is the thing, because every situation should teach you a lesson. Like I honestly I don't let no situation leave me in the place of not learning anything. You get what I'm saying? I'm
Mhm.
always pulling up, what did I learn from this? I don't care how hurtful it was or what happened in the situation or relationship. I must learn something from this that's going to help me in my next friendship, my next relationship, or how to be a better person in general. So we need to have our eyes open for, okay, well, that kind of was an epic fail because I did this. And pointed, we don't want to be honest about where we go wrong.
Mhm.
People are always in the cycle of playing victim. But the truth of the matter is, you probably contributed to the fail of that relationship or that friendship or that sisterhood because it was something you did too. And we have to be okay, become okay with, excuse me, with being honest about your play in the downfall of something. Be honest
Mhm.
about that, because that's going to help you in your next relationship. When if you realize that every relationship I've had, it always ended because of the same thing. That's your behavior then. That's something you need to
Mhm.
change. If you mean to tell me you had 5 sisterhoods of friendships that ended or was rocky because of the same exact thing, sis, that's you. That's not them. Because then you walk around here saying like, oh, um, everybody don't like
Well,
me or everybody is against me. You have to evaluate yourself too. It can't be only about everybody else. What do I need to do to change? What toxic behaviors or characteristics am I bringing into this covenant relationship that I need to check at the door, that I need to render over to the Lord? You have to, some of these patterns have to be canceled. Okay, we need to have cancel sessions on that, because some of
come
these
on.
patterns are unhealthy. Go ahead.
We're quick to cancel each other, but we won't cancel our patterns, behaviors. And
Not at all.
we're a little bit over time. We're gonna wrap this up, but I want to just answer. There's two things that I want us to answer before we end tonight's session.
Okay.
Um, Denise Crossland said, "What do you do when leaders share your business?"
Mm, my God, that's a tough one, because I mean, I don't. Leaders should know about integrity, right? And that's painful. It's almost like a parent doing something to demise or hurt you, right? Because your parents are
Hmm.
the first people who really build the identity of trust for you and really
Hmm.
build on, how we're supposed to view the world. And so I think in that sense, you don't need to like pop off. I'm against the pop off spirit, though I used to have it. I think being honest, honesty is so important. I think a lot of people just abruptly leave the church because of these type of things. And while I get it, like I don't agree with leaders telling your business. I think there needs to be like, yo, we need to have a meeting. I mean, not
Right.
yo. I'm sorry, y'all, but you know what I mean. Like,
No,
have a meeting,
absolutely.
talk about that, and try to figure out like what went wrong, and
Hmm.
sharing, because I think leaders get comfortable with each other sometimes, and they become friends,
I agree.
and they may share it out of confidentiality. That's why I said in the beginning that we have to, where you might feel safe with someone, I might not feel safe with that person, but you're a mutual friend, or you're a mutual person in the relationship that we both go to, per se, right? And so I always evaluate the motive behind the share or what has happened, but that type of situation warrants confrontation. And again, it doesn't have to be negative confrontation or the pop-off spirit. You get what I'm saying? It can be like,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say absolutely. Listen, confrontation, like you said, doesn't have to be bad. When we hear confrontation, we automatically mean, oh, because I had to tell. Like, we can't agree to disagree. We can't confront the issue without the other person getting mad or getting to so level that now we shouting, we screaming, we cursing, we
We,
no, there can be
you know
healthy
what, sis?
confrontation,
Yeah,
but
we
we
gotta get
don't
to
know
the
how to do that.
place. Yep. And we have to just to go into answering that question more. I'm gonna say 100% confront. Okay. Yes, with respect, because we about respect out here. Confront. Like, can we have a meeting? I'm very hurt that you shared my business. I came to you in confidence. And I just want, even asking why, like, what was the motive of that? Like, why would you,
Yes, Elder Cassie.
why you get what I'm saying, asking for.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're not gonna, this is what I'm saying, this is where maturity comes in. This is regular natural maturity and spiritual maturity, where sometimes you're not gonna get the answer you are looking for. You are not going to get that. You might not get, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You might get because I wanted to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, depending on who you dealing with, because some people just out here bugged out, and they might be
Right.
telling you like
Disrespectful. Right.
disrespectful. So I think you have to prepare yourself in that type of situation. And I will hope that your leader or whoever these people is or are, um have some sense of integrity, that they can have a conversation with another human being who they expose. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have
I,
to have some sense of courage to confront. I know a lot of times I've heard so many stories about people not being able to confront these type of situations in the church because they were either afraid or intimidated. And
mm-hmm.
we ain't nobody beat for all of that. Like, confront it, have a
Right.
conversation, prepare your heart for the worst or the best. You get what I'm saying? Because again, you might
Right.
not hear what you go in there expecting to hear.
Right. And then at the end of the day, put yourself in the same position.
Mm.
You have not always been the person that closed your mouth when you should have. And so the same grace that we want people to
To give
extend to
us,
us got to be the same grace that we have to that we're okay with extending and not just throwing away. The last point I want to get to, my brother Dre Rumble says, taking accountability is key, even in marriage. Now, I wanted to talk about that quickly because
yes.
some of us on here are married or engaged or have been, but we have to understand that yes, we have to be accountable to each other. There is a level of um there is a level of, I want to make sure, dialogue,
Yes.
conversation that needs to happen within the marriage, from the
Yes.
man, from the female,
Yes,
because a
indeed.
lot of times we only want to be accountable when it's comfortable for us.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when it's uncomfortable for us to be accountable? What about
This,
when we really just want to do what we want to do? And so then we start pointing out the flaws in the other person because we don't want to be accountable.
my.
Talk to us, because I mean, I know you and your husband just shared 2 years, but I also know that you're about to get your doctorate in this same area. So talk to us about accountability in marriage and what should that be.
Oh my God. So accountability is so important in marriage. Like, and it all falls down to communication, because I can't just get up and be, I'm known to be just such a free spirit, right? I can just get up and go and do what I want to do. And I think for me, that was the hardest thing when I got married. Like,
Wait, get up and go and do what you want to do, right? So
yeah,
when we're
not like,
married, we can't just
yeah.
do what we want to do.
So here's where accountability comes in.
Right. Come on.
Accountability is, honey, I'm, so and so want to have lunch. Do we got any plans, or did you have anything planned for us? I'm gonna go have lunch with this person. But you might frame that statement differently depending on your relationship
Right.
with your husband, right? Everybody got their
Mm-hmm.
own stuff in a relationship. But for me, because I was so used to, I had to get used to being accountable to my husband and letting him know, like, hey, I'm about to go do this. Did you have anything planned, or did you want to do anything else before I say yes to this person? And because I used to be like, yeah, I'm going out, not like to the club or nothing, but or my friends would have
Right.
brunch, or I'm going over to like maybe my mom's house, or we are going to my mom's house. So I would just make plans for us to, do stuff without talking to him. So it's so important, because I think a lot of times, if you're like me, I was so independent and so used to thinking for myself. I had to get used to bringing him into my thought process when it came to planning different things and doing different things, so it didn't feel like I was just brushing him off. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know what other people believe, but I had to learn to allow my husband to lead our family, right? And not just feel like, okay, it doesn't matter what he wants, it's what we want. You get what I'm saying? It's not just about Yasmin anymore. It's about Ref and Yasmin, or you and your spouse. So being held accountable in your marriage, you can't just be out all night and be like, I'm coming home at 1 a.m. and your husband don't know where you at.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. Like I said, it all goes back to communicating. Like, are you okay with me hanging out with these type of people? I mean, not that I'm hanging out with anything. I don't do nothing much, but I'm just saying, because everybody has different lifestyles, even in marriage. But talking to your spouse, whether it's male or female, like, what do we stand on this? Are we at a middle ground on this, or what direction we're gonna go in? And one thing I've learned about marriage is agreement is so important, because if you can't come to an agreement, it's always going to be conflict. Mm-hmm. You might agree to disagree, but you got to be going in the same direction, because if I'm going over here and he's going over there, conflict is going to constantly arise. And one thing early in our marriage that we realized, the enemy was coming for our agreement. And if we did not come to a place where we were like, at the end of the day, I don't care how much I disagree with making this decision, and we say this is the decision we're going to make, that's what we make it, as a unit, not as two different individuals, as a unit. For me, as much as I love hanging with my friends, I don't hang with them as much anymore, not because I don't want to, but I'm married. I need to make sure I'm giving enough time to my husband. Like, my job is very demanding. So I can't just be like, oh, I've been working all day, and all of a sudden now I ain't see my husband, or I didn't give him any attention. And so now I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay out until 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll be back. It does not work like that. There has to be some level of communication and accountability. Okay, you want to go hang with the girls today? That's fine. What time you coming home? What time can I expect you? Is there dinner prepared? You get what I'm saying?
Right. And
so for me,
those things are okay.
Yeah, those things are okay. So it's all about conversing with your mate, figuring out what works for the both of you, so that conflict is not constantly arising.
And let me add to that, and understanding, like you said, that the enemy is after your covenant and your assignment. And so his plan and his plot is to make you separate and have these disagreements, and cause you to not come to a place where you can agree to disagree and work from that, right?
Yes.
Tonight has been amazing. Oh my goodness, Yasmin, I love you.
I love you.
I love you so much.
I'm so happy that you invited me here.
Yes, I definitely want to do a part 2 with you.
Okay.
I will get with you and see what your schedule looks like in like another 2 to 3 Mondays from now, and then we'll see if that works for you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on tonight and for sharing. This is Yasmin Ojwang. She is a mentor for people, for women, for couples in Kenya and here in the United States. She has her clinical master's degree, and she's working on her doctorate. So listen, this is the Sanctity of Sisterhood. We have real people that are not just giving opinion, but they're giving you what is needed and what is met. We're not just telling you pray, pray, pray. We want you to have clinical aspects and the ability to know that seeking therapy and counsel is okay. So Yasmin, would you leave a few words with us before we end tonight?
Yes. I love y'all. Like, I really had a great time talking with you guys. Thanks for the engagement. But yeah, I just choose your friends and your covenants very wisely. Don't just aimlessly choose off of your broken lenses. Make sure you evaluate where you are mentally and emotionally so that you choose into the right relationships. And they'll work out in your favor if you choose into the right ones and if you go into them being a safe place so that you can also receive a safe place.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
love you, and I
Love you
will
too,
message
sis.
you again. Thank you for
Okay.
tonight.
No problem.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us tonight. I pray that you have received something and you're going to start your healing. Listen, become a safe place. Whether you're single, whether you're in a friendship, a sisterhood, whether you're married, become that safe place that you want your friend or your mate to be to you. Don't just throw it away. Don't just give up. These things are work. You've got to work on you so that you can work on the relationship. I love you. God bless you. Next week we have Pastor Tanya Tucker. I'll have more information for you tomorrow. Love you. God bless you. Good night.